"Sir, I can heal your son's eyes," said the blind boy to the famous surgeon. Lucas was only 7 years old when he fell off his bicycle on a poorly made curve in the park. A common fall, but a cruel one. The seemingly mild blow caused a microhemorrhage in his brain that pressured his optic nerves. The doctors acted fast. The best equipment, the most advanced techniques. But Lucas's eyes never saw again. Victor, who had dedicated his life to restoring the sight of hundreds, couldn't save his own sons, and that ate away at him day after day. As Lucas walked beside him, tightly holding his father's hand, his steps were steady, but his eyes were lost in nothingness. Victor always noticed that it wasn't the blindness that hurt the most, but the way his son seemed disconnected from the world. They sat on the usual bench under the great mango tree. Victor offered Lucas his favorite cookie. The boy took it, smiled politely, but said nothing. "Are you cold, son?" Victor asked. Lucas shook his head, and silence returned. That day, however, something broke the habit. A voice rose, like a whisper the wind couldn't quite hide. "Doctor, I can heal your son's eyes." Victor turned, startled. A few feet away, standing on the grass, was a frail boy, dark-skinned, messy hair, holding a makeshift cane made of PVC pipe. The boy's eyes were cloudy, blind, but his face carried an expression of rare peace, almost sacred. "What?" Victor replied, rising slowly. "I can help your son see again." The surgeon narrowed his eyes. He looked around for an adult, a camera, some kind of setup. Nothing, just that boy, alone, too small to speak with such certainty. "Are you with someone? Where are your parents?" "I live over there near the fallen church. My name is Ben. I'm 10, I think. I don't have parents. My grandmother raised me, but she's gone. Now I just help." Victor crossed his arms, skeptical. "Help how?" Ben slowly touched his own chest. "By listening to what people don't say. The pain no one talks about. It screams for those who've learned to hear it." Lucas shifted on the bench. For the first time in weeks, he tilted his head as if trying to see who was speaking. "You're blind," Victor said with some pity. "How do you think you can heal anyone?" "Because I learned to see without eyes," Ben replied, smiling. "And your son, he didn't lose his sight. He lost the will to see." Those words struck Victor like a scalpel slicing into live flesh. It was absurd. It was naive. It was frighteningly plausible. "I'm a doctor. I've tried everything. From minimally invasive surgery to cortical stimulation. Nothing worked. But have you tried speaking to his heart?" Victor felt a knot in his throat. He didn't reply. Then Lucas spoke in a whisper, almost shy. "Dad, I want to listen to him more." It was as if the boy sensed the stranger wasn't lying, as if some forgotten part of his being had awakened. Victor took a deep breath. His instinct said no, but something inside, maybe a trace of faith, said, "What if it's true?" "Just 5 minutes," Victor said, "but I'm staying close." Ben nodded. He extended his hand, and Lucas, guided only by intuition, took it. They walked to the grass nearby. Ben sat down and asked Lucas to sit across from him. "Close your eyes," he said. "I know they're always closed on the inside, but now close them with intention." Lucas obeyed. Ben pulled a small, smooth, dark stone from his pocket. It was cold. He placed it in Lucas's hands. "Hold it tight. It's an anchor. When everything feels dark inside, touch it and remember the now." Victor watched. His heart was racing. He was ready to interrupt at any moment. Ben began to sing. It wasn't a known song. It was a near-whispered melody, repetitive, like an ancient mantra. The tone was calm, like wind brushing over leaves. "Feel the darkness, Lucas. Listen to the silence. It speaks. It shows. It remembers." Lucas started breathing deeper. His shoulders relaxed. Then he spoke. "It's warm, right in the middle of my forehead." Victor stepped forward. "Are you okay, son?" Yeah. I'm seeing light, but not with my eyes. With inside my head." Ben nodded. His blind eyes didn't blink. "You're remembering Lucas." The light never left. It only slept because you got scared. Victor didn't know whether to cry or shout. Was this a delusion? Hypnosis? An emotional collapse? That's enough for today, he said, trying to sound firm. That's already too much. Lucas opened his eyes, but didn't let go of Ben. He smiled for the first time in a long while. Can I see him again? Victor hesitated. Logic screamed, but his heart, already wounded by so many useless truths, whispered hope. Maybe, he replied. Ben stood up. He touched Lucas's shoulder. The light has returned. Now just let it grow. And he walked back toward the street he'd come from, with confident steps. Even without sight, Victor stood still, looking at his son and feeling the weight of a simple but forgotten truth. There are things science has yet to name, but the heart can feel. That night, Lucas dreamed. For the first time in 2 years, he dreamed of the sun, and he woke up saying, Dad, in my dream, I saw everything. I even saw you smiling. Victor cried silently, hidden in the kitchen, because he knew that strange boy had lit something. Maybe a miracle, maybe just the courage to see again. But something had changed, and the journey, he felt, was just beginning. The following weeks were a strange mix of routine and mystery. Dr. Victor Ahrens tried to carry on with his life as if the encounter with the blind boy in the park hadn't shaken all his certainties. But it was impossible. Every gesture from Lucas seemed different. The boy, once withdrawn and absent, now woke up asking about the weather, wanting to go to the park, eager to hear new sounds. And every night, before bed, he held that same small dark stone with the care of someone holding a secret. Dad, you think I'll be able to see again? He asked one night, already in his pajamas, his opaque eyes turned toward the ceiling. Victor hesitated. The answer from the doctor in him would have been a sad no. But there, in the intimacy of that room, with that small miracle blossoming, he answered as a father, I think, in some way, you're already seeing more than before. Lucas smiled. The next morning, Victor made a difficult decision. He went to the old fallen church, near the historic center of the city, the place Ben had mentioned as where he lives. It was an abandoned space, surrounded by twisted trees and ivy-covered ruins. There, among shadows and shards of colored glass, he saw a group of children. Some were tossing stones into a circle. Others just leaned against the cracked columns. And sitting on the steps was Ben. You came back, the boy said, even before turning his face. It was as if he had felt the presence. I want to talk. Ben nodded. They sat on the highest step. Victor watched the children. A girl with her face marked by burned scars smiled at the sun as if it were her best friend. A boy with one leg drew in the dirt with a stick. Who are they? The Invisibles, said Ben. The ones nobody sees because they don't shine, don't beg, don't sell anything. They just exist and feel everything. Victor remained silent for a few minutes. What did you do to my son? Nothing. I just reminded him who he was before the pain. Sometimes pain hides so deep it becomes identity. But he's changing, feeling more, opening up. That's real. Ben smiled gently. Of course it is, because you're changing too. Healing begins when the adult chooses to listen to the child they forgot they once were. Victor ran a hand over his face. He was tired, but it was a good kind of tired, as if resistance was giving way to faith. I want to help you. Ben frowned. We don't want money. That's not it. I want to understand. Teach my students. Show that not everything can be solved with a scalpel. Then sit, listen, and see. Ben stood and called one of the children. A little girl with green eyes, a shaved head, and a bandage on her neck. This is Luma. She stopped talking after losing her parents in a fire. It's been 2 years. The doctors say there's no injury, but she doesn't speak. Know why? Victor looked at her tenderly. Trauma? Fear that speaking will bring back the pain. So we taught her to sing without sound, to express herself with her hands. And yesterday she laughed. Luma made a gesture with her fingers and smiled. Victor felt a warmth in his chest. The medicine he had studied for 30 years had not prepared him for this. Ben turned to him. Want to know why Lucas lost his sight? It wasn't just a fall. It was a shock. It was seeing the despair in your eyes. It was feeling that you, his hero, also broke inside. And so, he closed his eyes to the world and to himself. Victor broke down. The tears came without permission. I failed him. Ben held his hand. Small, dirty, firm. No, you loved him in your own way. But now you have another chance. And he needs you whole. That night, Victor told Lucas about his visit. Ben, he's more than he seems. He sees in a way no one else can. I feel that too, Lucas said. When he sings, I see lights. Like drawings in the dark. He wants to see you again. Says there's more to do. Lucas nodded with excitement. For the first time since the accident, he seemed hopeful. The next morning, Victor took his son to the old church. But this time, something different happened. Ben waited at the entrance. He wore a shirt that looked like it had belonged to someone much larger. Beside him, 2 lit candles. Today is the day of the choice, he said. Lucas can try to see with his eyes, or keep seeing with his heart. Neither path is wrong, but both require courage. Lucas hesitated. He touched the stone in his pocket. I want to try. Ben nodded and guided him inside. In the center of the church, where an old altar still stood, there was a circle made of rope and dry leaves. In the middle, a simple chair. Lucas sat. Ben began to sing. But this time, the voice was stronger, as if another voice accompanied it. Perhaps his grandmother's? Perhaps something greater? Victor stood at the doorway, his body tense, his heart racing. Close your eyes, Lucas, but see from within. Lucas obeyed. Ben stepped closer and placed his hands over the boy's eyes. Listen, you are safe. Nothing will hurt you. Not the fall, not the memory, not the fear. The song changed its tone. The candlelight flickered. Victor stepped forward, feeling the air grow dense, almost electric. Then Lucas spoke. I remember the bike, the wind, the scream, your voice crying. I thought that if I stopped seeing, the pain would stop. Victor fell to his knees. Son, forgive me. I should have been strong. But you were strong, Dad, even when you cried. Ben removed his hands from Lucas's eyes. Silence. Now, open your eyes, he said gently. Lucas obeyed. For a moment, his eyes were blank. But then, like clouds parting, something shifted. He blinked. Once. Twice. And then, as if seeing the sun for the first time, he smiled. Dad, I see you. Victor didn't move. He just cried. Lucas ran, stumbling a bit, and threw himself into his father's arms. Ben remained where he was. Quiet, serene. Victor lifted his son into his arms. Lucas laughed, pointed to the light, to the leaves, to the sky he saw for the first time in years. He turned to Ben. How can I thank you? Teach others. Not to heal, but to see. And you? What will you do? Ben shrugged. There are other children who forgot how to see. I need to remind them. Victor approached, took the badge from his lab coat, and placed it in Ben's hands. When you want to study medicine, come find me. We'll find a way to join your gift with what the world calls science. Ben smiled. Science is just another form of faith. And so, on that morning when the world became a miracle, a boy saw again, and a doctor began to believe once more.